By any measure, Superior has been a smashing success for Terry Brown. The city has rapidly developed and thousands of tourists flock to the city's many attractions. But Terry can't seem to shake the feeling that he is responsible for making the place unrecognizable. It's busy and loud, and there aren't really places to take in the natural splendor of the area like he and his family used to at their cabin that has long since been demolished. And that's when an idea comes to him. What if he could recreate his childhood, but as a resort? He could recreate the cabin, but add all the things he thought were missing, like paved roads, restaurants, well-manicured parks, and of course, fast internet service. He envisions building the resort right here on land just outside of the city, which will make it easier to get approvals, provide lower taxes, and allow him to move faster on his development. Unfortunately for Terry, Mayor Lee gets wind of this development and works with the city council to block it under Superior's extraterritorial zoning jurisdiction. Extraterritorial zoning jurisdiction allows cities to weigh in on development within a certain radius of their boundary. In my state, this distance is 3 miles for a city or 1.5 miles for a village. It exists to ensure that development on the periphery of a city is compatible with the city itself. It can also be used to encourage development to incorporate within the city's boundaries rather than impede its future development. To that end, Superior has vowed that it will not provide utilities, police, fire, or EMS to Terry's development unless he chooses to annex into the city. Terry is furious at Mayor Lee, but he has no options, so he petitions to be annexed into the city so that he can build his development. In today's episode, we're going to build this development, and we're going to incorporate a number of amenities to ensure that it is financially viable. And stick around till the end of the episode because we're going to be adding more residential to the city, and we're going to be making a few fixes based on your feedback. And if you like your nature controlled and manicured, hit the like button. And if you prefer a rustic vacation in the woods, hit the like button for that too, and let me know your ideal vacation in the comments. Or just drop an emoji of your ideal vacation for the sake of engagement. And without any further ado, let's jump right in. Hello, welcome back to City Planner Plays, where we are building the city of Superior in Nicolet Bay. And we've got a good one today. We're going to be incorporating the Hotels and Retreats DLC into the build, and we're going to build an absolutely massive resort right here. I'm really excited to bring this to you, so let's just jump right into the plan. To begin, we're going to prep the site. We're going to grade it and make it flat. Then going to build a ring road, and that's really going to be the focal point of this entire area. There's going to be a park in the center of the ring road, and we're going to be having all the cabins right off from this ring road as well, but not on the road itself. Then we're going to build the resort, and we're going to build that right about here, and we're going to build a driving range to try to get people who are driving past this interested in what's going on here. Inside of our central park, we're going to have all sorts of amenities, ponds, trails, tennis, volleyball, you name it, and we're going to have a very well manicured grassy area. And I'm really excited about this one, so let's just jump into our site preparation. To start out, let's take a look at our contours and get rid of all of the trees in this area. There we go. And you can see there's a little bit of terrain in here, and this might seem like a pretty benign amount, but with what we're going to be doing, it's going to be very challenging to actually complete this if we don't have this completely level. There we go. The other thing I want to take a look at is this right here. It almost feels like we should have bermed this. So we would have taken the soil from here and just kind of pushed it up over here. So we're going to grab this and kind of mimic that sort of deal. And now I'm curious, if you are on the highway, that's really not high enough. I'm going to pull this up just a bit more. There we go. I think that is much better. Now you can see it's at least a few meters, and if you're down here, it's multiple. So if you're in your cabin, you're not going to see the road. And the bigger thing there is it's going to block the sound. So that is what we really care about. Now I want to talk about the ring road through here. And this road is important for a number of reasons. First of all, it sets the size of our resort. Number two, it also is the size of our park. So it's important for both of those reasons. Now, finding the perfect road here is going to be really important. So we're going to go with this 16-meter service road, which comes from our parking lots assets. And I'm really excited to use this one because it's going to, in my opinion, look a little bit more rural than some of the urban roads that we have. So we're going to add an entry point over here and then have another one over here. So let's add that. And I'm going to go a little ways in. The reason why I'm doing this is we're going to have the cabins backing up to the road and backing off from this ring road. And I just want to make sure that we can add some landscaping in between. So this will be our 2 entry points in. We have to have 2 entry points so that we aren't cul-de-sacking this. And then this back road is going to have the resort, and we're also going to put our driving range off from this back road. So let's ensure that we've got enough space to place all of this. And there we go. That's a nice starting point. This could be adjusted over time, just so that you know, like this, for instance, this feels a little sharp for me. So that's the kind of thing I want to do to keep this feeling relatively fluid through here. And with that, we're ready to move on to placing some of our cabins. This is the part of the build that I'm the most excited about because I think we're going to do something really unique and special here. So I want to use one of these parking lots right here. And what we're going to do to place the cabins are going to go on the outside of these. So I want to run these little parking lot roads, and we're going to try to find the perfect distance. So I'm going to start out with 6 units. And honestly, that 6 units looks to be about as good as we're going to get it. So we're going to have to take each of these and hold down Alt with Move It so we can slide this in, but it's a fairly insignificant thing to need to do to make this perfect. Now let's place our cabins. And we're going to be using these new rental cabins, and I think that these are going to be perfect. The type of resort that I'm trying to make is pretty ubiquitous, at least where I live, where it has that rustic looking feel, but it's actually a resort and people kind of eat it up. Obviously, this doesn't look awesome right now, so we're going to need to bob out some of this stuff. Basically, all of the landscaping, I don't want it around these. We will do this on our own. And I basically want to be able to sneak more of these in here if I can. And this is the general design for this entire area. We've got a couple of cabins, we've got the parking right here, and this is what you have. But before we move any further, I do want to bring utilities to the site. So let's put some water pipes underneath the road right where they belong. And we've also added our power. I used one of the transformer boxes near the entry point and then some of our underground power lines to bridge things here. And now we are good to go. We're going to notice right off the bat that this is an excellent place for nature. It's because we're right along the coast, but it's a terrible place for sightseeing. We are going to resolve that. The other thing I want to focus on right off the bat, I can see that we have ample space. So we are going to move this road back a little ways. There we go. And every road that we move like this gives more space for our central park. Now, I'm going to quickly go through here and add in the rest of these in a similar vein to this, and we'll be right back. So what we've done is basically grab these and add little tentacles throughout here with 4 cabins each. This is going to be a massive moneymaker for Terry, but he knows it can be even better. So let's jump into our resort. You may have noticed that I left this little gap right here where I could have added more cabins, but this is where I think we're going to put our resort. We're going to add the mountain lodge right here. I think it's the perfect fit for the main resort, and it does come with parking, but considering how much we've given to the cabins, it feels like we've got to do more. So we'll go with this 40-meter parking facility. I'll send that back 10 units. We're going to straighten this out and see exactly where it needs to be. And reasonably, the size of this would be driven by parking requirements, for better or for worse. There would likely be parking requirements for a hotel like this, and I could see it being something like 1 parking space per room plus 1 per 4 employees. Something along those lines. Hard to say. I mean, parking requirements are kind of wacky and they vary by jurisdiction, but there's usually some rationale that's used even if it's flawed. And there we go. Plenty of parking in this lot, not exactly enough lighting. We will handle that at the end as we address lighting throughout this entire area though. But I don't want to stop here. I really think that we should do more. And one of the more things that we're going to do is we're going to add some trails behind this entire area. To me, we have this, we should take advantage of it. It'd be a really unique amenity to have this entire facility. Let's turn on our contours though, because these are not self-leveling and we don't want this trail to end up coming up and going uphill. And I've given some thought as to what this trail is. And basically it's just a recreational facility. I don't want it to loop down here because these are too close to the road. We need to have dense landscaping, not a trail that makes it possible to see this highway. So this is how we'll handle it instead. And actually, as I think about it, this is not supposed to be a highway anymore. So let's go ahead and get this upgraded to an urban road, and we'll bring it back to about here. Let's modify this though with our new zoning toggle. We don't want zoning to occur along here. Always reset the zoning toggle. That's something that I'm going to live by now because it feels like it's something that we have to do now. There are 2 more amenities I want to add to this area. One of them is over here, and we might actually get rid of some cabins in replacement of it. And that is a pool. And this is an interesting amenity to work in here because we're going to add this community pool, and it's not really going to help us a ton. This is not a park. It is a healthcare asset. So as a result, we're not going to see the attractiveness of this go up at all. So that's kind of disappointing if we're being completely honest, but it just is what it is. We've also got to take a look at our mountain lodge and take a look at both our shopping and our business location. And this is no good, but I think that we have a solution because of our mall build. We're going to use some of the Rico blocks. So we need both commercial and office. So I've added these 2 right here. What I'm going to try is using Move It. I'm just going to pull these right inside. Maybe we'll put it right out front so we can keep track of them for now. That's given us 2 out of 15 and 2 out of 20. So let's just spam these a couple of times. We had to give this 1 more commercial block than office block, but we've completely maxed this out here. Got a lot of people coming here and we're already making money. So I think that we are in a pretty good place. What I want to do now is move all of these blocks inside of here. So I am going to stop selecting segments and only select these. We'll just hide these away back inside the building. Building's happy, I'm happy, everyone's doing well. And then there's one more thing I want to add that's kind of related to the resort, and that is a driving range. I want to add some parking, so we're going to upgrade this road. And now we've got an absolutely massive parking lot that you probably think is ridiculous, and I'd probably agree with you. But here's the thing, I'd expect to see this here. I'd actually expect to see another way into this place, considering this is a gigantic cul-de-sac right now. All of that said, it's really difficult to do that with these parking lots and make it look convincing. So as a result, we're just not going to do that. But we will pop through here, square this up so it's easy to actually place assets through here. And then we want to make sure that we've got tons of accessible parking through here and that the rest of our lot is filled up. And again, this one will not have lights. We are going to fix that at the very end. And there we go. I think this is looking pretty good. So now we've got this all set up. We've got some amenities. We've got our resorts. We've got our driving range. I think it's time that we start thinking about our Central Park. Now, Central Park is interesting because I think in an ideal world, I would make custom ponds through here and make this look really natural. But we really need to raise up our sightseeing score if we want to score as much profit and as many guests as we can. So we are going to be using some of our new tourism assets that came with this DLC. All of that said, I also want this to be a park. So we are going to paint a district first. And the main reason I want this to be a park is because if we have this as a park, I'm able to place some assets away from roads. And if you've got a great name for the resort, drop it down in the comments below. And in the next episode, we will give this a name. So let's add in some of our tourism and leisure assets. And truthfully, I don't think it's going to take much to make this place super attractive. Obviously, we've got to have a pond in here. So we'll add one of these over here and maybe another one over here. I am curious though, what has this done in terms of our sightseeing score? Wow, it's already maxed it out over here. This is a spot I'd be worried about. It's pretty good there, and we're good here as well. This is the one spot. Yeah, nothing over here. It's not spreading it over here. So what we're gonna do is use Move It and just try to spin this thing around and see if this does the trick for us. Yeah, and just a quick sampling, it looks like everything around here is now in an excellent place. So the only thing I don't love about this is there's just a lot of assets going through here. I think that we're going to remove some of these. Editor fill here, and I think we're going to go one step beyond just removing some of the things. We're going to remove everything and completely detail the way that we want to detail. And there we go. Now it is basically nothing. You know what? I like it a lot more. I think it's perfect. We don't need help with landscaping, not all the time anyway. And I'm happy to take this one on my lonesome. So there we go. I'm going to do the exact same thing over here to this, and I think it's going to end up looking a ton better as well. And once again, I've made this nice and boring, couple of tables, but almost everything else has been removed. Now let's add some trails through here, and here's where we're going to add some of our other amenities through here as well. And this is an interesting one. I don't know that this bridge is actually usable. We're going to test it. What I'll do is just add a short path segment here, and I'm not snapping to anything. So I'm going to guess that I've actually got to draw this all the way through or just ignore it. We might just make it look like it's a thing and then have other paths around here. So let's go ahead and add some more amenities. And what I'm thinking is we need some volleyball and we need some tennis courts. Those feel like the sorts of things you might see at a venue like this. Now I've tossed these off to the side for a while. I don't want these facing the road. I want them to face the path, but I can't do that until I have a main gate here. So we're going to add a main gate right here. We'll say it's decorative just for the sake of having one. And we'll line that right up with the front of the building here, more or less. And then we can't leave this like this. Obviously there's a segment of our park path and I can't comfortably leave it like that. So we're going to go into our network multi-tool, unlock segment mode, unlock this segment. You can tell it's unlocked because it's yellow. It's warning you. Make sure you remember to close this up. We will upgrade that right there and then lock it. And we're good to leave this alone. The one thing I do want to do, let's make sure that people in Think of a Name Park are not being charged $10 to walk through. We want to make money, but we're not going to do it like that. So there we go. And now we should be able to grab this, turn this towards the path. And that was the whole reason we made this a legitimate park. Now, I don't know that we can do that with the tennis courts. Oh my goodness, we can. That is awesome. And then we're obviously going to treat this the exact same way and bob the trees out of existence. I want to say that we have these elsewhere, but truthfully, I'm kind of good with these not having these generic trees. We should probably do better pretty much everywhere. And now just looking at these volleyball courts, and boy, those are stark white. We'll pull those a little bit closer. But there's one more thing I want to do, and this is the whole reason that we leveled this, and it's probably the most challenging part of what we are doing in this central park. I want this to feel like it's well manicured and has those grass stripes that you often see in kind of ritzy areas. So we're going to look for a decal. And if you have the mid-century modern content creator pack, you have these two decals. We're going to use our line marking tool. And now we'll run this all the way down. So now that I've got decals selected inside of Move It, we'll go into our marquee selection tool, select all of this and copy it, and then paste. And we'll keep doing that until we end up with a very nice sized area that we can just copy and paste. And now we've got most of the park covered, and you might be thinking, oh my goodness, he's office rocker. And you know what? I might be. I might be in over my head, but we're going to give it a shot anyway. So I want to just fill in these last couple of areas. And the really important part here is going to be making sure that what we get is straight. All right, and this looks terrible, but I think that we can work with this. So what I want to do is basically come around where there's overlapping and get rid of the decals that are in the way. And there was a decision that I had to make here. And basically I decided that if one of these decals was overlapping anything, I would delete it. Now we're going to come into Move It, marquee selection decals again, and select the whole kit and caboodle. And what we're going to try to do now is make this not look quite as stark green. So I'm just going to lower this into the ground. So page downing this. Oh yeah, that's the stuff right there. So you see that we got the line, we've got a little bit. There's a couple of spots where it's really visible, but for the most part, not too extreme. It just looks well manicured. Oh, I love this. This is looking so good. And there's only one more thing that we need to do, and it's kind of in the entire area. We need to do a bit of landscaping. Let's just quickly take a look at what we've done here. And basically I wanted this to feel like it is in the middle of a dense forest, but at the same time, we wanted to maintain some visibility for our driving range. So when you come in, you see this, but that's all that you see. So if you're on the highway, you're not going to see this at all. If you're in here, you're not going to see the highway. It's going to appear that you're in a forest. I also wanted to control the landscaping within the park. We've done such a good job of making those grass lines that it only makes sense to really think about the landscaping quite a bit. Every tree is purposefully placed. Inside of here, I've given most of these pods an evergreen and then tried to densely landscape around here. And then I've added basically a fence of evergreens right along the outside to try to block the road from coming in. And because I've added this, I removed the trees from the road here. And I think ultimately this feels pretty darn good. Truthfully, I'm not 100% sold on the evergreen buffer here. Part of me thinks that maybe I should have just left it feel supernatural, but I really like the way this looks beyond that. And with that, I think we've got to go and make some final adjustments. And I've actually got a surprise that I'm really excited to add to the build as well. So now I believe if we take a look at any given cabin at this point, we should see that it's completely maxed out, 100% popularity. And we could crank this all the way to the top if we want to make some serious money. And truthfully, we want to. So I'm going to go through here and crank all of these to 100 and we'll be right back. So I've gone through and I've adjusted all of these, but there's something interesting happening. When you get over here, there is absolutely no sightseeing and no nature. Now I've got to guess. We are obviously going way further on the side of the map than the game would like or appreciate. I think that that's what's creating this issue. And yeah, look at that. You see it just dive off at the edge of the map. There's just nothing over here. And even nature, it tapers off near the end. At the very edge of the map, there's nothing. So if you're playing in a modded build, I guess keep that in mind. You're going to struggle if you get too close to the edge of the map, but it's the way I designed the map and it's what we have to deal with. And what I've done to compensate is just basically make it free to stay there. Maybe not free. It's still pretty expensive, but it's considerably cheaper than the other ones. And as a result, folks are a little bit happier to stay there. And I'm going to be honest with you, I've been looking at this row of trees here and it's driving me nuts. So we are just going to get rid of the row of trees and I'll plant some normal ones. And there we go. And truthfully, I think this does look a ton better, but I want to know how you feel. So let me know down in the comments. If you liked the pine tree row a little bit better than this, let me know and I'll switch it back. All of that said, we now should have a value that we're making for our entire hotel chain. So let's take a look. $8,203. I feel pretty good about that. Our popularity rating, even with all of those terrible little cabins over there, we're still doing okay. I'm not going to be overly concerned about it. Reasonably, this whole resort is still making money. It's full of criminals and crime and it's completely fine. Obviously something that we should probably deal with, although that's probably not a now thing, probably a later thing. And now for our final thing. I think that an area like this would be really teeming with activity. There'd be golf carts or things of that nature. And that's what I want this to have. I want it to feel like there are golf carts through here. So I looked for this asset, which is a golf cart bus. And I don't think it's out of character, this build, to add that sort of thing in here. So I decided to add it in. So what we're going to do is create a bus route around here. And we're going to have stops all over the place. And I basically want to stop at every one of these sites. We could send these in. It's just a lot of looping, so we're not going to do that. And there we go. We've got our two routes. Now we just need to switch from buses to golf carts. So we'll just come in here and we'll adjust them. And these show up at the very bottom with a little tiny image of a golf cart bus. And then I'm going to do something unusual. If we look at this, we're going to get 3 vehicles. We're going to crank it to the top. We've already got some passengers building up. What I want to do now is watch the golf carts roll in. So let's take a look. And here we go. We've got our whole cavalcade of golf carts just all over the place. And it's kind of cool because what we're seeing is that we have some golf carts that are purple. That's the one route. Some that are yellow. Maybe that's the colors of the resort. That's another thing we need to think about for this area. Once we name this park, this resort, we need to also think of a color and a logo. So let me know if you've got some ideas down in the comments, but these are neat little assets. You can see that this one, for whatever reason, has 3 passengers and a 2-passenger vehicle, but I'm not going to question it because I love the activity that we're seeing around here. And truthfully, it makes it easier to get around. So I'm going to be good with it. I do want to make sure though, let's take a look at our routes because I don't want this to have a crazy number of people waiting. Yeah, I think that this is the most extreme stop right here with 8 people waiting at it. And obviously as these unbunch, things are going to get a lot better. There's 13 of these golf carts and we'll see them. 13 on this route and on the other route, 12. So there'll be 25 of these zipping around, picking people up. And I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And before we forget, we better add some lighting to this. So what I want to do is add some of these avenue lights. And the reason I'm adding these are the same ones that are in the center here. So we're just going to add the lights through here. The park looks pretty good and I'm okay with the lighting at the cabins. Honestly, it might even be too much, but in these parking lots, we do need to have lighting. I've also got some oddities here. I might resolve some of that off camera, but for this, we'll take the exact same approach that we did in Clearwater County. So we'll add these here and then we'll use Move It to get these to line up nicely. And that's just lining up those objects. So you select all 3, come through here, line up objects. Looks pretty darn good. I'm pleased with the way that looks. I think that there's only one more thing to do with this area, and it's take inventory of what we've done with a brief city tour. And I really do love this new resort. I think it is exactly what Terry was imagining it to be. All of that said, there's still a major issue in the region, and that is our housing shortage. So every single episode, I want to work on it a little bit. So what we're going to do now is just go through this area where we've now paved all the streets and start adding some homes, because I do think that is something that would be very important for this project to have been viable. So we are going to just come through wherever we see that we could add a couple of homes, we're going to do it. Okay, and we blanketed basically this entire area with residential zoning, keeping them separated so that it blends in with the existing zoning that's here. Now, there is one place where I did not add zoning, and that's right here. Ideally, I think this road would have connected up right here, because I think we're going to develop something in this area, be it a park or more homes. But ultimately, we can't do that because there's already a home here. So I've added a home right here, and we'll have this road come in this area. The other thing I want to address before we even consider doing anything else is the police coverage. We've had lots and lots of issues today with our police coverage. So we're going to add a secondary police department to this community over on this side. We'll go with something fairly small near the school. Let's move on to a couple of fixes based on your feedback. And the first fix is from Janice, who says, Phil, I think you placed the wrong blocks inside the mall, since the green commercial is the organic, but I placed the eco. And the funny thing is, for whatever reason, this is actually slid out of the mall, so we can see the issue. There is indeed some housing in here. So we want to get rid of that. And the way that we're going to approach that is to actually use Move It. So we're going to turn Picker on, and I just want to select this inside of Picker. That's all that we can select now. I will highlight these, delete them, and then we'll select our Rico again, go for custom only, and I'm going to be very thoughtful about this, and I will select commercial eco. And now you can see it does say organic. We'll place those right there and then use Move It to move these right inside of the mall. I don't really understand what happened to the mall. You can see that there are a number of places where we had sidewalks that shifted. You can see that we've got some issues here with our sub building. So I think that I'm going to just replace the entire mall and see if that fixes this. That was considerably more difficult than I thought it was going to be, but I basically had to delete the mall and start over and then slide all the blocks back in there. But now we're back in business and things are looking good again. So thank you so much, Janice, for this suggestion. The next bit of feedback is from Daniel McGregor, and there were a number of people who brought this comment, but basically Daniel suggests that the cars actually drive on the roughed up side of the road. And if you take a look at this, you can tell that there's this side here that's roughed up, and this side looks more like new pavement because people are just parking on it. Now here's the weird thing. There were comments that said, you can't invert these, you just got to redraw them. but I came back into the build and everything looks perfect. So I'm very, very confused. I do not know why this looks good, but indeed it does. And then the last bit of feedback that I saw in a couple of different locations is I should definitely check out the households in some of these buildings to make sure that they make sense. And the ones that don't necessarily make sense are the ones from the part of Korea. So this one in particular, the Maple residence, has 2 households and it's a tower. So I'm going to basically mirror what we have across the street. This is 26. This one's 2. Let's go into Rico. We'll add a local and then we will change this to 26. We'll save it, save and apply changes. And now right away, this shows 26 households. We could do the exact same thing here. And we should also probably do it here. And I'm just guessing with these numbers and I'm not sure why they are as low as they are, but they are, so we might as well adjust them while we're here. I believe that the rest of the households throughout here are pretty good. These are townhomes, so having 3 in each one of these or 2 makes total sense to me. And it appears that the stuff that actually came from the Plazas and Promenades DLC is pretty reasonable. I'm okay with 9, 10, 22. Completely fine in my opinion. Just those couple from the heart of Korea that were a little bit off. And then before we go, I did make a couple of adjustments and I feel like I've got to point those out. So way back over here in Couillard Shores, I did adjust this and we've made this the Couillard Industrial Park. I added this new district so that I could change these over to our newer industrial buildings that came from Industrial Evolution. I really like the way these look. I'm never using the old ones again. And then the other thing that I did is kind of based upon some issues that I know I'm not the only one to experience right now. So there's the bug right now with the cargo, and you can see lots and lots of crazy stuff. And when I was testing the build, I noticed that I would run out of cargo entirely throughout the entire build, and it would lead to the death of the downtown here. So what I've done is I've added rebalanced industries, which aims to kind of help balance out some of our cargo ships and the different vehicles coming into town. Because what I was seeing is that most of those were having 5% loads, 32. That's better than I was seeing 40 going out. So that's much better. I also looked at the loading screen mod, not from inside of here, but before loading in. And I said, remove all vehicle agents. The reason I did that is I wanted, if there were any stuck vehicles, stuck cargo vehicles, I wanted them to be gone. So it's safe mode. It gets rid of itself after you boot up one time. But I did that because there was some looping and circulating in here. And then I switched over to Transfer Manager CE. Now, originally we were trying to figure out whether Transfer Manager was the right mod or if we should go with one of the other transfer mods. I went with this one because this one's been updated and people were saying very good things. This is something I meant to adjust, and I'm wondering if this is part of the reason we were seeing the issues with the police vehicles. We have this enhanced vehicle AI. So I'm doing this, and basically what this does is every police station will look to serve its local area. Same thing with fire trucks. And then instead of having this set to line of sight, which is kind of as the crow flies, we're gonna go path distance. So that'll make it a bit more reasonable, especially since we have the island out there. I just wanna make sure that services and goods are being drawn from their local area. And if it's looking at a path that takes a boat, hopefully it won't choose that one. And with that, I haven't been having goods issues. I'm sure that in the last patch, that cargo issue is going to be patched out of there. But in the meantime, I want to play, and I think that this is for the most part going to solve most of our issues. Again, we need a name for our resort, so if you have one, please drop it down in the comments. And I want to thank you so much for joining me today. There's a lot of things you could be doing, but you decided to take some time and hang out with me, and I really do appreciate that. And I hope that you've enjoyed this one. If you did, please hit the like button. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please consider doing so, and I really can't wait to see you in the next one. Thank you so much. Take care. Bye-bye.